this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to make the simple chunky cable crochet slippers, the written pattern and photo tutorial for which you'll find on mooglyblog.com. This pattern calls for one skein of Lion Brand Woolies Chunky or comparable yarn and a K-hook, about 150 yards. Let's get started. We'll start with the right foot. Now, to start round 1, we're going to start with a magic circle and chain 2. This chain 2 does not count as the first stitch. So 1 and 2. Then we're going to double crochet 10 times into the ring. There's 1, 2, and we'll come back to the video when we have 10 double crochets in the ring. Okay, so here we are. We have our 10 double crochets worked into the magic ring, so let's go ahead and tighten that up. We're going to pull on the loose tail here until the hole there in the center is all closed up. Then we are going to join to the first double crochet of the round with a slip stitch. And that's the end of round 1. For round 2, we're going to chain 2 and work 2 double crochets in each stitch of the round. So remember that chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So going into the first stitch, I'll work 2 double crochet, and then I'll do the same in the next stitch, 2 double crochet. So since we're working into 10 stitches, 2 double crochets each, we'll have a total of 20 double crochets for this round. And I'll see you at the end of this round. Alright, so I'm putting the 2 double crochets into the last stitch of round 1. So for round 2, we now have 20 double crochets, and I'll go ahead and slip stitch to the first one. And that's the end of round 2. For round 3, it depends on what size you're making, and here's where you're going to want to make your choice on width. If you're making this for a person with a narrow or standard size width foot, you'll follow the first set of instructions, the first numbers for round 3. If you're making this for someone with a wide foot, like myself, you'll want to follow the second set of numbers in the parentheses. So let's make this for someone with a standard size width. So for round 3, we're going to chain 2, like I did here, doesn't count as a stitch. Then we're going to double crochet in the next 9 stitches, then 2 double crochet in the next. So we start in that first stitch, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now it's time to work 2 double crochets in the next stitch. 1 and 2. If we were making these for the wide width size, we would double crochet in the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 double crochets in the next, 1, 2, 3, 2 double crochets in the next. Since we're working the narrow width, we don't need that many increases, so it's 9 and then 2, and then one more time we'll do 9 and then 2. So I'll meet you at the end of this round. Alright, so I worked 9 and then 2, and 9, and here's the last 2. So since we've had 2 increases, that brings us up to 22 stitches. Let's go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. And you can see we've already got our little toe shape forming here. It looks very circular, but of course when you put your foot in it, it'll be nice and wide. So let's start round 4. We'll chain 2, and then we're going to double crochet, since we're making the narrow width, in the next 18 stitches. If I were making the wide width, I'd double crochet in the next 21 stitches. So let's start with 18 here. Going into that first stitch, there's 1, and I'll see you again as soon as we have the first 18 stitches in this round. Alright, and there's 18. So we've worked 18 stitches in this round. Now we had 22 stitches in the previous round, so that means we still have these last 4 stitches unworked. Here's where we're going to begin the cable pattern. So now that we've done our 18 double crochets, we're going to front post treble crochet around stitch 20 of round 3. Now that means 1 stitch down, so go straight down below where we're about to work, and then we're going to go 2 to the left. 1, 2. So that one's going to be right here. Front post treble crochet, front post treble crochet. It's not easy to say, but you wrap your yarn around the hook twice, go down around the post of that end stitch, yarn over, pull up your loop, and work it off 2 loops at a time. You want to make sure not to work this too tight or it's going to crunch the rows together. You want it to be tall enough here to stretch right across. All right, then you're going to double crochet in the next stitch, not the one where we would have worked this stitch if it wasn't a front post treble crochet, but in the next one. So skip that one, go to the next one. Okay, then we're going to front post treble crochet around the same stitch as the previous stitch, or excuse me, the previous post stitch. So right back down to that one we worked the post stitch around before. And it's okay, even though we've worked a post stitch, we're kind of going to go underneath it. But this one, of course, is going to angle off to the left. 1, 2, 3. And you can kind of see right there, we've got the V starting for our cable pattern. Then there's 1 stitch left, because again, we skip that stitch that this one represents, and go into that last stitch, and that's it for round 4. So we will join with a slip stitch to the first double crochet of this round. Okay, now round 5, we're going to chain 2 and double crochet in the next 19 stitches. So I will see you when I get to the end of this round, or to the next 19 rather. So here we are in round 5. We've double crocheted in the next 19 stitches. Here's the last one. Now because it's the 19th and we did 18 last time, that means we're working that 19th right into the top of that first post stitch from the previous round. And if we were making the wider width, this would actually be stitch 22. Since we're making the narrower one, it's 19. Now we're going to front post treble crochet 2 together around the first and second post stitches made in the previous round. So we're going to yarn over twice, go around the first post stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, work off 2, work off 2, and leave those last 2 loops in the hook. Going to yarn over twice more, go around the second post stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, work off 2, work off 2, and now with 3 loops on the hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, creating 1 stitch, and that's the first diamond pattern. Now I'm going to double crochet in the last 2 stitches. Because this is a 1 stitch, it counts as that center stitch right there. So we're going to go into the one sort of behind, or rather the top of the previous post stitch, the second one. And then of course the last stitch. And then I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch. And that's the end of round 5. For round 6, once again, we start with a chain 2, and then we double crochet in the next 18 stitches, just as in round 4. So I'll see you when I've got the first 18 made. Remember, of course, that if I were making the wider width, it would be the first 21. Okay. So we have the first 18 stitches of round 6 made. Now it is time to front post treble crochet around the top of the front post treble crochet 2 together of the previous row. So we're going to yarn over twice, go under the top of that front post treble crochet 2 together. So we're going to go under both legs and sort of wrap right around the top there with our yarn. Okay, then we're going to work off in 2s. That's the first front post treble crochet. Then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. To do that, we're actually going to be double crocheting in the top of the front post treble crochet 2 together. So right into the top there, we work our double crochet, and then we work another front post treble crochet around the top of the front post treble crochet 2 together. So yarn over twice, go under both legs there, pull up a loop, and work off 3 at a time. 2 and 3. Okay? So you can see there's some more of our cable pattern emerging. Got the first diamond there and the start of a second. What I like about this point in the pattern, and let me finish off this row here before I show you, we're going to finish off with 1 more double crochet and a slip stitch, of course, in the first stitch to finish off the row, is if you wanted to make slippers for a cause, some sort of ribbon cause, this is actually a really good point to stop the cable pattern, because you get sort of that ribbon shape in 3D there. Okay. but let's stick to the pattern for now. Continuing on with round 7, we're going to repeat rows 5 and 6 twice. So in the next row, we'll be working the front post treble crochet 2 together to bring these 2 together. In the row after that, we'll be working them apart again, just like we did this last row. So I'll see you at the end of those 2 rows. Alright, so here we are at the end of round 10. You can see we've repeated the cable pattern several times. So we've got 3 diamonds here and an open diamond here at the end. And again, at this point, try it on and make sure that it fits. At this point, it should come out up to just about the front of the ankle here when you try it on. So now it's time for row 11. At this point, we're switching to rows instead of rounds. So we're not going to be joining at the end. We're going to be leaving a space open for the ankle and the foot to come into the slipper. So at this point, we're going to chain 2 and double crochet in the next 17 stitches. If we were working the wide width, it would be the next 20 stitches. So I'll see you at the end of 17 stitches. All right, so here we are at the end of row 11. I've worked 17 stitches around and there are several stitches unworked. This will be the foot opening. So for rows 2 through 14, I'm going to chain 2, turn, and actually work back the other way. We'll be working back and forth in rows. So I'll see you at the end of row 14. All right, so here we are at the end of row 14. You can tell I've changed directions and I've been working back and forth in rows for the last few rows here. So we are now ready to look at what size we're making. If we're making a size 6 to 8 shoe, or slipper rather, for a size 6 to 8 foot, what we would do is go ahead and go to the instructions for row 16, which are when you close up the heel. If you're making it for a bigger foot, say size 9 to 11, you'll want to work another row even like we've been working here. Let's go ahead and say we're making the smaller size slipper. Before working row 16, make sure you try the slipper on to make sure it's the correct length. It should be just a little bit shorter than your foot because this yarn is going to stretch quite a bit. So now it's time to go to row 16. We're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the first 9 stitches. If this was the wide width, we would single crochet in the first 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to fold the heel in half right sides together. Now this is the side that the cable is on. That means the outside right now is the right side. So we're actually going to fold it the other way so that you can see the cable here is on top and the heel is backwards right now, or inside out. Now I'm going to reinsert my hook in the stitch here and I'm going to single crochet through both sides. I want to make sure to match up the stitches one for one so that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches that I'll be working into. So I'm going to skip the one there that I worked last, go into the next one and the one right on the other side. Pull the loop through both and single crochet. So I'm going to single crochet these 2 ends of the slipper together like so. And it only takes 8 stitches to do so. Just a couple more here, right up until we get to the top of the ankle. Although right now it's kind of flipped down so it's almost below the heel. All right, there we go. Now at this point, our slipper is finished. I would cut the yarn, make a knot in it, and turn this right side out, and it would be ready to wear. But we want it to look a little bit nicer than that. So before you break the yarn, go ahead and turn it right side out like so, and turn so that you're working from the outside again with the cable side out. You're going to chain 1 and actually work a single crochet edging all around the foot opening like so, and that just gives it a little bit more polished edge, a little more finished look. Now if you want to, I've seen some variations of this pattern where instead of just working a simple single crochet edge, people have continued working double crochet rows up and actually made a nice boot cuff, which helps these stay on a little bit better and can be a little bit warmer in cooler climates. What you do at this point is up to you. But if you're making it according to the pattern, which is fine too, you just go ahead and single crochet right around the edge to give it a little more finished look. Now, for making the left foot, it's going to be basically the same pattern again. You're just going to be making the cable pattern instead of off to this side, it's going to be skewed a little bit to this side. So just watch your stitch counts, but the cable itself will be exactly the same, as will the rest of the slipper and the heel. So as we finish up the edging here, you'll get a good idea of how the finished slipper works and how it looks, or at least the right one. And as I say, the left one is pretty easy to follow. For the full written instructions and lots of pictures, do be sure to check out the website, which I will link in the YouTube description if you're on YouTube, and in the blog post if you're on the blog watching this, so you can see how to make the simple chunky cable crochet slippers. Thanks for watching.